like, well, that's a terrible take. He's like, what an insane ask. That is not enough money. I was like, yeah, you're the only person in Wichita saying, you know what, we need to raise more money. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's good. All right.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and son.
Did you see Sports Sunday last night?
I did not.
Nobody else was there because Brandon was covering the Royals game. The other two were out of town, so it was just the TJ Cleveland show
All
for
right, rock and roll.
15 minutes straight.
Was there some special reason that Brandon was covering the Royals game, or just
That was just our first game on the airways,
Gotcha.
so he just went.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Is it just me, or is that audio really poor?
I don't know. I mean, it's the same as it's always been too.
Right.
I mean,
I
it's
just
been
feel
that
like it's
way.
The online
so
easy
bad.
way to get life insurance in 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, that's what Brandon's right. Like whenever like Apple TV or whenever you watch a game on whatever TBS, it's like, oh crap, this sounds way different.
Yeah. All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome into Sports Day.
Beach, working a day shift there, and then getting right into wedding planning at night. So definitely going to make myself earn the honeymoon, but we're looking forward to it.
Wedding is on Saturday.
Saturday.
You fly out going to Maui, is that right?
Yep. We got about a 20-hour travel day going there, about a 24-hour travel day by the time change and everything coming back. So, but can't wait. Going to be awesome.
So when you go to Maui, you fly out, are you leaving like immediately on Sunday?
So actually, we had to tell people that are coming to the wedding that they need to leave by 8:00 because we got a flight to catch. I think we're leaving like before 7 a.m. basically.
Yeah, that's my wife and I did that. We went to Cancun for our honeymoon, and we took the earliest flight out of Wichita.
Yep.
And like our wedding, we probably didn't get wrapped up until midnight or after when it was all said and done. We were at the airport, I think by 4.
Yep.
There was no sleep, but we slept on the plane. It was good because I wanted to get out of town, get me out of here as quickly as possible. But I don't recommend that just because it's so like you're exhausted.
It's all right. We're gonna sleep on the plane. We got a long flight, so I'm gonna make sure I pack the melatonin, pack a neck pillow, and tell Gabby not to talk to me for the entire flight.
There you go. So you've got a few busy days.
I do.
Before you actually get to relax on the beach, and I believe I don't know if they're in Maui, but I believe that's where Jacob. He's in Hawaii. They're in Hawaii. And his family in Hawaii.
Yep.
I don't know what island they're on, but so he's getting to enjoy the tropical weather. You're going to get to enjoy the tropical weather, and Max and I are going to be stuck back here when it's below freezing in April in the morning. It was cold this morning. It was like 28 degrees when I woke up this morning. So we'll live vicariously through you and Jacob.
I like bringing up whenever we planned the wedding, we made sure to say, okay, we can't do it this past weekend. We can do it this next weekend because KU just got AJ Storr, so they could be playing in San Antonio in the national championship.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Yeah, that's you have to kind of plan it. And I asked you yesterday, we were texting it, and I said, who in their right mind gets married on Masters weekend?
Yeah, I know. Gabby likes saying she's all for eloping and just doing it and doing it whatever. So she's like, if we want to just go to the courthouse, we'll just spend the money on some Masters tickets if you wanted to do that. Oh, and that was a tough turn. It was tough decision.
Why did you not do that?
I know. She keeps giving me flack about it. So
I've heard people. They asked me when I was getting married about 10 years ago. They were like, "Hey, if you had the choice to do it all over again or take the money that it cost for the wedding." Mm-hmm. What would you do? Like, give me the money every day. Like, it was great. It was fun. But give me that money every single day of the week.
We're doing something small so that way we can go to Hawaii, basically. Yeah. So we got the priorities straight at least.
Yeah. I haven't actually talked about it here on the show. This is the first time that I brought it up because I don't want to be one of those, like, braggy type guys. I'm going to the Masters. So I will be at the final round of the Masters on Sunday.
Are you going on Sunday, too?
I'm going on
I didn't know that.
The final
round.
That's
really cool.
Yeah. So I fly out Saturday morning to Atlanta, direct flight to Atlanta, and then it's like a 2.5-hour drive to Augusta from there. And speaking of early flights, it's the earliest flight out of Wichita. So I think our plane takes off at 5:30 Saturday morning, and then it's like a 2.5-hour drive, and then all day Sunday at the Masters. I'm going with some friends. They've been there before. I never have. I don't even know what to expect. I've even told them, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to follow you guys around like a lost puppy because I have literally no idea what I'm doing, where to go, how to make it work.
Yeah,
no clue.
I feel like going. I've never been to a professional golf tournament. I guess I've been to the Wichita Open and everything like that, obviously. But it is always just kind of like where do you go, especially whenever like GA tickets, which is all that they have.
Right.
You just walk around and just find somebody to watch play golf and everything. And then I think it amplifies there with the cell phone rule and everything like that as well at the Masters. I can't imagine what that's like. It's probably just
it's insane. And so really one of the big allures is the merch every year because you can't buy it online. Mm-hmm. You could buy it from a resale place, but it's always a lot more expensive. It's exclusive things. They do new stuff every single year. And there are people that have already been to Augusta National for the women's amateur on Saturday, drive, chip, and putt was yesterday, and they're posting videos on TikTok of what they bought at the merch store. And of course, my wife has been watching all of them, and she actually got out a pen and paper and started like, she's like, you can't take your phone, so I'm going to write out a list of what I want you to buy.
She's thinking ahead.
Unfortunately, it's great.
That's
unfortunately, you can spend a lot of money.
That's what I would go to work. I'm a huge merch guy, and my favorite joke is that every time we go on vacation, I make sure to go to the nearest Division I college so I can buy a T-shirt with the logo on it. So if I was in a Masters Pro Shop, I can't imagine the damage I'd do.
You'd probably drop hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, I would imagine.
Literally.
It's ridiculous, but we're all going someplace. Jacob in Hawaii. TJ is going to Hawaii this weekend. I'll be in Augusta for the final round of the Masters this weekend. So we've got a few days before we get there, and we're going to dive right in as we're just getting going here on Sports Daily. Let's talk about KU and Flory Badunga. That was the big headline over the weekend. Returning to the Jayhawks, we will get into that. We'll preview a national championship game tonight between Houston and Florida, and a whole lot more. We're just getting started at Sports Daily, coming right back on KFH.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
83101 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Daily on a Monday. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleveland, Max Power producing the program. The KFH hotline is open at 869-1240. Let's jump right into the transfer portal, TJ. Big news yesterday. Flory Badunga announces that he is leaving the transfer portal. He's returning to KU for another season. You know, it was interesting because this saga kind of unfolded over the last week or so, and it seemed like all indications, or at least most indications, were that Badunga would not be returning to Kansas, and then kind of pulls a 180 on Sunday and announces that he will indeed be back with the Jayhawks. I know that you have you followed this as the week has gone on. As the week went on, which way were you leaning? Were you leaning that he was gone, or were you surprised when he came back?
It was such an interesting story because he entered the portal and had intentions to return to KU, apparently, is what like Thamel reported as soon as it happened. And then, you know, talking about like Shreyas that we hear on the show was talking to Flory and his, guardians in Indiana where he went to high school. And they were saying, like, this is not about NIL. Like, we want to do this, but we're absolutely not ruling out a return to Kansas. And so it's such an interesting scenario because it's like if you're shopping for greener pastures, it's like what are you looking for that you're not going to have at KU? So it's hard to believe if you take out the NIL part that you're not just entering the portal, just trying to kind of put the screws to the KU NIL to get some more. And I can't blame them. Everybody's getting paid more right now when you think about how much these players are going to make. So I'd have to imagine maybe he went in the portal and was shopping a little bit, and then Bill came back to him and offered him more. Maybe is likely what probably happened. Is the way that most of those things go. Whenever somebody enters the portal, they get a pay raise. But if you're asking me, I mean, the whole thing that I talked to Jacob about is that pick what scenario or what you want in the transfer portal. Do you want to play for a better fan base? Do you want to play for a better head coach? Do you want more playing time? Do you want to play in a cooler arena? Because every single one of those is going to be at Kansas. Flory will play 40 minutes a game if he can. So I don't know what greener pasture he was going to find. So I kind of not expected it, but I could definitely see this coming.
I think you bring up a really good point because so often the focus is on the money aspect, how much you can make in NIL and all of that. And that's all true. That's a major, major, major factor. Don't get me wrong.
And KU has that too.
But there are other factors that are part of it that get overlooked. You mentioned the fan base. You mentioned the coach. I think probably professional development. Like that's been the calling card of John Calipari for decades, that he gets guys to the NBA. Mm-hmm. So, there are other factors that come into play as well. That being said, though, and you're right about all the other factors. That being said, I have a hard time believing, and even when it came down a weekend ago from his guardian, when he said that this wasn't about money, this was absolutely about money, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so as well. To go out and then come back a week later, it kind of just feels like that from the outside in. But honestly, probably playing it right, it's likely he has to have an agent. And you think about, the guys that are leaving Wichita State are going to get $1 million deals at least. And so it's like you think about them getting $1 million deals. Like Flory Badunga was probably already making a multi-million-dollar deal because he was a McDonald's All-American. He's probably doubled that now. Like this offseason is one of the craziest off seasons in college basketball history. Thinking about the revenue sharing, and we'll get on all of this in later as well, I'm sure. But the revenue sharing is coming, and the schools like KU and Indiana know that it's coming, and they will lose a little bit of their advantage. So if they got the money, they need to spend it right now. And so I think everybody in the country has an unlimited NIL chest of whatever they want to do. So every player in the country, there's a reason the transfer portal is the highest it's ever been right now.
All the rumors were that Badunga would either return to Kansas or that he could potentially go to Indiana, could potentially go to Auburn. It sounds like it was at the end between Kansas and Auburn. So kind of a rough weekend for Auburn, losing to Florida in the Final Four and then missing out on Florida Badunga.
Yeah, that's such a big fish in the transfer portal. Like whenever he put his name in, you think about the guys that were in there, like the South Dakota State Center would be a really big one. But I mean, Flory had to have been near the top 10, not top 15 of the transfer portal. So everybody in the country is probably calling to try to get some kind of juice on him.
I got to tell you, I'm actually really glad. As soon as I heard this news, I was really glad that our buddy Jacob Albrocht is not on the show this week, because he has been a broken record, and Max can vouch for this, broken record on just like over and over and over saying, my gut tells me Flory's coming back. He's going to be back to Kansas.
He was right?
He was right. And all week long, I'm like, nah, I think he's gone. Like, there's nothing that tells me he's coming back. He's like, nah, trust your gut. Like, he's going to be back. So I'm glad he's not here, because I'd have to give him his props in person. And I never like doing that. But he was right on that, that he just felt like Flory was coming back. One of our great listeners of the show, Rick, chimes in on YouTube and says that it just sets a bad precedent that blackmail works to get more money. I mean, those are fighting words there, Rick. I mean, blackmail is a tough word. And of course, we don't know if that's the way that it all panned out. Do you think that there's any part of the fan base or, Jayhawk fans in general that will go into this next season with a bad taste in their mouth, potentially, with the way that Flory handled this?
They don't care. As long as Flory Badunga's on the court, they love Flory Badunga, and they'll be fine with it no matter what. If you're Bill Self, you may have a little bit of a sour taste if he did, just kind of put the screws to you for a couple $1 million more. But at the end of the day, you're going to spend it. If you don't spend it on Flory, you're going to have to spend it on somebody else. So, and they know that. That's why these players enter the portal. And it's really interesting, and there's a lot of logistics that are going to have to go into a way to fix this if the NCAA wants to, let this stop happening. Because I brought it up all week long that, a school like Wichita State, even smaller than Wichita State, a school like Norfolk State, they're used to not having any players return because of the transfer portal now. KU, in no way, shape, or form, should ever not have any players on their team. Like, that's one of the premier locations in the entire country. If they don't have any players, everything's off the rails right now.
And that's not really, at least last year, that wasn't the issue with KU. They had players. They just didn't have the right players.
They didn't have players this offseason. There was no players on the team a week ago.
Well, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
But, that was the struggle for the Jayhawks this last year, was that the combination of players wasn't the right one. It didn't end up working out. And one of the guys that was such a bright spot for the Jayhawks was Flory Badunga. And so I think that's why it was so, I'll just be honest, was so devastating when that news came out a week ago, because he was primed and poised to be that guy. And now that he's back with the Jayhawks, I think the sky's the limit. When you look at comparing what he was able to do this last year with what he could do, the way that bigs usually take steps forward under Bill Self, and then pairing him up with Darren Peterson.
Absolutely.
I know that there's a lot of hype around Peterson and what he can do, probably almost more so than maybe any other incoming freshman that Bill Self has had. But I know, I don't know. I hate using comparisons. In my mind, I thought, man, if this could be the second coming of Doak and Dot, with KU or whatever that looks like. I think that you've got really, really, really high potential, such a high ceiling with these two guys playing off each other.
It's insane that literally the outlook on the KU season, at least in my mind and people that I've talked to, it's kind of doomsday 4 days ago, and it's like, we're going to waste the year of Darren Peterson. We're going to have the best player in the country, the number one pick, and we're going to waste the year. Then you get Flory Badunga back, and it's like, okay, we're back. Like, we're fine. Everything's going to be okay. And it's true. Like, those two together is going to be so much fun to watch. I think so much about Flory, and what's exciting is that he plays so athletic. Like, you remember the UCF game when he blocked the shot and then took it himself for the dunk. Like, imagine Hunter Dickinson doing that. It doesn't happen. It's not possible. So I'm so excited to watch an athletic big play for Bill Self. to see what he can do because he loves playing through his big men so much. This allows them to be faster. And I think that was kind of one of their flaws this past couple of years with Hunter Dickinson. If you want to play through Hunter Dickinson, you had to play a bit slower. If you have a big that can run the floor like that, that can jump like that to go along with Darren Peterson, I expect them to score a lot of points, look a little bit more like an SEC team with the amount of points that they may score with those two.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely the appeal of what Badunga could bring. He brought that energy off the bench. And, it's the stats speak for themselves. There were 3 games in the middle of the season in conference play when KJ Adams was injured. And in those games when Flory Badunga started, now he did start alongside Hunter Dickinson, and that, probably long-term wasn't the best fit for the Jayhawks to have those two guys playing on the court at the same time. But Flory was successful. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he averaged like 13 and 7, somewhere around there in those games that KJ was hurt. And then as soon as Adams comes back, Badunga goes right back on the bench. And you really saw his role diminish late in the conference season. And I can imagine, even if this wasn't about money,
that's what I was going to say.
I could see there being frustration from his part. Like, hey, look, I want more playing time. I want to be able, and you know what? He was going to get it this coming, and he is going to get it this coming season now that he's back. But I can imagine there was probably a sense of frustration with him heading into the Big 12 tournament and the NCAA tournament that he wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time.
Yeah, I think that it does. At the end of the day, we're talking about, Flory's probably 18 years old, probably 19 years old. And so it's like, you're talking about college kids. And so whenever you get benched, I'm sure that ruffles some feathers, and that the portal's always just shiny in the corner. So I do think that may have been a little bit of a part of it, just to say like, well, if you're not going to play me, I'm going to go somewhere that'll know who I am and everything like that. And, at the end of the day, you're right. I mean, he's going to play, and he was always going to play this upcoming year. And I think it may have just took a bit of convincing from Bill Self and Bill Self's checkbook maybe, but he's back.
Yeah, I wonder, going back to your point about what has to happen or what should happen. I mean, at the end of the day, Jacob and I talked about this a lot. At the end of the day, I mean, we're headed towards contracts for players, right? Like, we're headed towards contracts, we're headed towards buyouts, we're headed to all these different things where, I mean, like, coaches have them. Coaches have the contracts. Coaches have these buyouts. If they want to go, look at Darren DeVries leaving West Virginia after 1 year to go to Indiana. There was a buyout.
It sucks for West Virginia, but West Virginia just got a bunch of money.
Got a bunch of money. And you know what? If a school wants a coach bad enough, they will pay that buyout.
Exactly.
They will make that happen. It should be the same way with the players, where if, Bruce Pearl wanted Flory Badunga bad enough, if Flory was under contract, then Auburn can buy out the contract.
Yep.
It's going to be that much more expensive, and a portion of the NIL dollars would then have to go to buy out the contract. But then at that point, the schools get at least a little bit of protection.
I agree.
Right?
There has to be. I've talked to so many people about this. It doesn't feel like it's that hard of a fix to do, except for the legality of it. Because I know that was something that got brought up whenever NIL became a thing, is if you leave, there needs to be a stipulation that if you leave, you don't get your NIL anymore. And there was, legal wording that you can't do that. Like, you can't base it off of a geographical location or anything like that. But if they go to revenue sharing, I think that they can do that based on, I guess, I don't have any basis, I guess. But if they go to revenue sharing, I think that you can make it where you can cap it to where you're only allowed to spend this much money and make these coaches go budget. Like, don't let Indiana bully you around because they have $10 million and can go get whoever they want. Like, revenue sharing, just cap it at whatever you want to cap it at. $4 million for a roster, which is still outrageous. Cap that for the Power Fives. Cap the non-Power Fives at $2 million, and then just let it go down from there and trickle down. And then that would help Wichita State so much, because you think about Wichita State. This is what I bring up to people about Wichita State, which I'm sure we'll talk about this later as well. They, like Harlan Obioha, which I'm sure we'll get into. They wanted him. He would have been their starting 5. He would have played an outrageous amount of minutes. And then they were fighting against Texas. And it's like, well, how can they bid against Texas? So, well, Texas is paying him to be their 8th or 9th guy. Wichita State's paying him to be their number 1 guy, basically. So they're throwing a number 1 price tag at him. Texas is throwing a number 9 price tag at him. And at the end of the day, because the SEC has so much more money, there was probably more to go be the number 9 guy at Texas. So if you make these coaches budget, it's going to help the mid-majors so much more. If you put them on contracts, you can help them retain players more. And then buyouts helps them bring the next wave in if these guys do want to go jump up and play in March Madness and all this stuff, which I can't blame any of them for doing if you have the opportunity to, but not at the expense of these mid-majors.
You mentioned Harlan Ovieja. Of course, he was a target for Wichita State. He's headed to West Virginia, and that decision was made or at least the news reported a couple of hours ago. As you mentioned, that would have been a huge get for Paul Mills. He had a lot of interest. You mentioned Texas. Of course, he ends up at West Virginia. Rutgers was a team that was interested in him. I thought I read Mississippi State even maybe was interested in him. He would have been your immediate starter. And, I do think that it's interesting because Jacob and I talked about it, I believe on Thursday or Friday, about, the advantage that you would think Wichita State maybe had just with the proximity, just with the location of Wichita State to where Ovieja is from in Hoxie. It's interesting that he chose to go to West Virginia under a brand new head coach. Ross Hodge, coming from North Texas, is the new coach at West Virginia, replacing Darian DeVries. It's the interesting thing about all of that is that you're going, at the end of the day, he's picking a Big 12 school over an American school, right? And I wonder if it is as simple as that. I'm sure NIL plays a big role in that, but you're going to a Power 5.
You think about in his situation, I'd have to guess, not to put words in anybody's mouth, but you're on your final year of eligibility, final year of college basketball. And I bet there was a big part of them that wanted to come back home and play at Wichita State. They went on a visit there. That was a thing that he talked about when he was in March Madness about how much he liked being back home and everything like that. But at the end of the day, you have 1 year left of college basketball. West Virginia is going to pay you more than Wichita State, and West Virginia has a whopping better chance to make March Madness. And that's what all these players want to do, is play in March Madness. And every transfer that you talk to, I'm sure, like Corey Washington wants to play in March Madness again. Like Quincy Ballard probably wants to play in March Madness again. The NIL just helps them to go where they go. That's the recruiting part of it. I don't think that these guys are this offseason may be a different story because so much money is floating around. But I think that most of the time these mid-majors transfer out because they want to have the opportunity to play on the national stage. And if you have a big game in March Madness, you can be set for life.
I think that's a really good point because, you can focus so much in on the money. And the money is obviously a very important part of it. But at the end of the day, you've got the haves and you've got the have-nots. And the ones that have the money are also the teams that are more likely to make the tournament. And these guys that have played for programs that are not making the tournament, that they're not, playing into March, at that point, it becomes that much more alluring. Like you're saying, I can get a check and I'll have a better opportunity to go play in the tournament. Sign me up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a weird model that basically it's pay to play. And if you pay, then you're going to win more. And if you win more, you're going to make more money. So I bring up keep bringing this back to Wichita State, but everybody asks if you think that they would have been competitive back when they were a top 25 team in the NIL market. And it's like, I think that they missed the boat by a couple of years, because if they were the number one team in the country, absolutely they'd be able to compete. You know how much money Wichita would put into that program to keep them the number one team in the program, in the country? The bad news is that NIL started happening whenever Wichita State started on the downswing, and now you're just against the stream, and you got to find a way to if they can have a winning season. I really think if Wichita State can win the American and just get into the tournament, the amount of support will skyrocket so much and give you a chance to get a sniff of what that was like.
We spent the majority of our show on Friday talking about the letter that Kevin Saul sent out to the fan base about the NIL and about needing another $1 million to be competitive in the NIL space. That took up the majority of this program on Friday. Honestly, it's such a lightning rod when you're talking about NIL, number one, but then you're talking about how that relates to Wichita State and Shocker basketball specifically. We had probably more phone calls and comments in our show on Friday than we've had in quite a while because everybody feels extremely strongly about that.
Yep.
And, is it difficult to swallow reading a letter saying we're going to need another $1 million? Absolutely it is. I think my biggest concern, and I mentioned this on the show on Friday, is that seems like a moving target. We don't know it's going to for sure be $1 million.
It's $1 million for 1 year.
Yeah, it's $1 million right now.
Fundraising for the next
year. You might need $2 million next year.
Exactly.
You might need $4 million the year after that. It just makes it that difficult because there are no guardrails.
It is.
You have no idea. So if it was look, guys, we need $1 million and we're going to be set. We're good. Mm-hmm. That's all we're going to ask you for a while. All right, cool. Let's start a campaign and let's get that going.
Exactly.
But that target is probably moving, and it's moving a lot until we know where things are going to settle.
Exactly. The craziest part of the entire NIL landscape to me is I bring back the Johnny Manziel argument at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Texas A&M made enough money off Johnny Manziel. They built a stadium. Why are the fans paying for the players? Why aren't the schools paying for the players? Nobody asked for the fans to pay for the players.
That's a great question. We'll talk about that on the other side. I want to continue this discussion and conversation. The KFH hotline is open at 869-1240. We'll get into national championship talk as well. On the other side, it's Sports Daily. We're coming right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
what is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
83101 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee, keeping us all fueled up and caffeinated on this Monday morning. I needed that. It's been a long morning so far, but glad we've got Prairie Fire Coffee in to keep us fueled up and caffeinated here as the morning goes on. It's Sports Daily. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleveland in for Jacob Albrox, and Max Power producing the program. The KFH hotline is open. Max has got that man at 869-1240. You can also leave your video comments on our video streams on YouTube, on X, on Facebook as well. Just search for KFH Radio and leave your comments right there. We'll pull them up and be able to talk about them here as the show goes on. We've been talking about the transfer portal. As always, Flory Badunga makes his decision to return to Kansas over the weekend, so he will be a Jayhawk. And we had a little bit of news on the Shocker front a couple of days ago as Karan Boyd announces that he will be coming into the Shocker program from East Tennessee State. That's really been the major mover right now for Paul Mills. So really, you're kind of
only mover.
You're kind of dealing right now with a lot of unknowns still at this point for the Wichita State program. And we talked about it before the break, just about how difficult it is, considering that you've got apparently $1 million deficit in NIL that you've got to make up this year. Kevin Saul tells the fan base that on Friday when that note came out. Or I guess it was on Thursday when that note came out. It's a challenging time, and you've got to try to find a way, if you're Paul Mills, to, I guess, compensate for the fact that you've got $1 million deficit right now.
Yeah, I'm talking to Kevin Saul today, so I don't want to put any words out that aren't untrue, but just my opinion about stuff is whenever because everybody's fundraising NIL all the time. I think the fact whenever you have to fundraise NIL over the table and put a dollar sign on it, that means we need this money. Like, if we don't have this money, we might be in trouble. And I think that more so, I know in the letter it said that it's data comparable to teams that were playing in Sweet 16. There's reports coming out about, Duke and Indiana. Indiana, a team that didn't make the tournament, is going to spend $10 million on their roster next year. And like another $1 million, Wichita State may get them to 2 or 3, maybe. And so it's like, I don't think it's another $1 million to get back to a top 25 level. I think it's another $1 million to make sure you don't relegate farther, because if you don't have it, Memphis does. UAB probably does. North Texas is hiring a coach. They're probably going to up theirs with some Denton money.
FAU probably has
That's
that,
what I'm saying.
Imagine.
Everybody's going up. I think it's just a market value thing. I don't think it's okay, let's go make a move and go do this. Let's get $1 million and get back into the conversation. I think it's let's get another $1 million so we can, survive in the American Conference, which is unbelievable to say.
Let's be real about this, and in my opinion, what makes it really difficult, especially if I'm thinking about this and I'm kind of an idiot and I'm thinking about this, think about the business leaders in this community or even outside of the community that are Shocker supporters. Think of the Charles Kochs of the world and like these other major benefactors of the university. The reason why they're in the position that they're in right now is because they know how to drive return on investment. They know in their businesses, if you're spending money, how to put good money at something to be able to then return what it is that you need. What makes this really difficult for Wichita State is that there's no way to be able to tell that there's going to be any kind of return on your investment at all.
But the thing is that there literally is no return. It's not even an investment. You're just throwing money at a program. Like, that's what's so wrong about the NIL format that they have is that, I'm sure if it was something about if we win X amount of games, you'd get this amount of return on your investment. Everybody would do that. Sure. This is everybody brings up the Charles Koch argument. It's like, do you think Charles Koch wants to cut $1 million check every year to see nothing, just to throw it at a basketball court? And it's just to get some enjoyment. That's basically what the NIL model is. How much do you want your team to win? So how much your money are you going to donate? I brought this up, and it's an argument that I'll have till the day I die probably, is that the revenue sharing model, it makes so much sense because these schools make so much money off of these athletes and they wanted to get paid. And that was the argument. And it made so much sense of they're raising millions of dollars and they're not seeing a penny of it, but they get a scholarship, but that doesn't mean anything. They're not seeing a penny of it. Johnny Manziel built a stadium for Texas A&M. You think about all these athletes that did so many great, all those Alabama football players didn't see a cent and all the money they raised in Tuscaloosa to build that giant stadium and everything like that. Why are the fans that are also paying for the tickets and also paying to wear their jerseys also now having to pay to keep the players on the field? The money that the school raises off of athletics should be what's paying for these kids. I would be so much more apt to if 10% of ticket sales went to the athletes. I'd go to every game because you know that you're going to keep your team on the court. Now it's like, not only do you need to fill the seats, you also need to give us enough money to keep the team on the floor. And it's something that there's going to be burnout. Like there has to be burnout from this because people are going to spend millions of dollars. And if your team just isn't good, like you're going to lose your mind. Like I'd stop donating.
It makes it really difficult, especially when you read that letter from Kevin Saul. And to your point, you know, he mentions in there that the data is comparable to other programs that were in the Sweet 16. So then like my mind automatically goes, okay, they need $1 million to make the Sweet 16. And that's not the correlation, right? Like that's not the correlation. And that's what makes it so difficult because you can't pinpoint what that $1 million is actually going to do. Because at the end of the day, you could have $1 million deficit, or you could be like Indiana and have $10 million. And it comes down to the players and the coach. It comes down to how you play. It comes down to the X's and O's. It comes down to how you compete and how many points you score. Bottom line, the investment, I'm not saying the investment doesn't matter, but what I'm saying is that you have to do the investment on the front end. I get that. But on the back end, you could throw. Indiana didn't even make the tournament this year.
I mean,
right? Like
there's an argument 2 hours from Wichita. K-State had one of the biggest NIL war chests in the country, is what everybody kept saying, how much they spent on that roster. Coleman Hawkins got $2 million. That was a public number that he got. And they were in the tournament talk for about 0 seconds of the season. They were never on the right side of that bubble. So you could do all this work and it just couldn't matter. And that's what's so frustrating about this model.
Make no mistake about it. It definitely highlights the differences between, again, the haves and the have-nots in college athletics, because I guarantee you, I know that you kind of floated this out as a possibility. I guarantee you that as soon as Flory Badunga entered the portal, Bill Self made a couple of phone calls and then got on the phone with Flory and said, I've got the money that you need. Yep. Right? Like that. And there are very few programs in college basketball around the country that have the means to be able to do that. Yep. And it's the blue bloods. And you know what? The thing about it at the end of the day is that this has always been going on in some capacity. Now it's just out in the open more. Yep. It's just, it's on board. It's over the table, right? As opposed to being taken care of in back smoky rooms and, guarded text messages, cryptic message. Like this is actually happening now out in the public eye, out in full view of everybody else. But I guarantee you that's what happened.
Yeah, it is crazy. And the thing is that I bring this up as well, is that there's a reason that the schools that have more success have more money. And most of the time it's because they have NBA players. Like, you think about Joel Embiid. I mean, how many millions of dollars does he make every year? I'm sure, Trae Young is now the assistant GM at Oklahoma, and he just gave him $1 million. Like, these guys have the money. Like, the more success you have, the more money your alumni have. And so it's just a two-way street that just always goes into that. So they're going to have to figure something out. And we've been saying that, but this offseason feels a bit of a doomsday offseason of like, if you don't get this out, like this is the most outrageous numbers that we've ever seen in the history of the sport, most outrageous number of transfers we've ever seen in the history of the sport. If you don't figure this out, it's going to keep getting crazier, because if you didn't enter the transfer portal this year and you saw what happened, why wouldn't you do it next year?
Better believe that Wichita State is trying to lean on Fred VanVleet as much as possible, I would imagine, to help try to subsidize the NIL budget a little bit. But I mean, it's wild. And as of now, Wichita State has one portal addition in Karan Boyd, who looks like a pretty solid player, especially defensively, was the SoCon Defensive Player of the Year last year for East Tennessee State University. A couple of minutes in this segment left. Let's shift over to the national championship game tonight, Houston and Florida, and we'll carry this over into our second hour a little bit. Let's start with the Houston-Duke game. I know that Auburn and Florida was a fun game to watch, but man, Houston and Duke, that absolutely delivered. And it looked like for 99% of that game that Duke was the better team, that Duke was the team that was going to play for a national championship. But the one thing about Houston is that team,
they're so good
that you cannot kill them. You cannot put them away. They never give up. And a furious comeback in the final minute and a half or so, and the Cougars advance with 3-point win.
Everybody talks about wanting to get the Houston model. The number one thing that Houston does that is a joke, but it's so true, is that they've got about 2 guys that are going to play in the NBA, and then like 10 guys that could like start for the Steelers. Just freak athletes that they're not even great. Like Joseph Tugler is not that great of a basketball player, but he's an outrageous athlete.
He almost cost him the game. You know?
So like that team is so good because they're just gonna out hustle you to everything. They're gonna like. There's a reason they're so good at defense. It's because they're in better shape than you are, and it's because they care more and they know like what their breaking point is and what they're able to do. And there's no drama on that team at all. Like LJ Cryer will score 20 points a game, and if he doesn't, who cares? They're still going to try to grind you down and let you score less than 20 points in the game or something like that. So if there's a team like I brought this up to my fiance. We watched that game. I said, usually if you're down 6 points, you need about 2 minutes to overcome that because the other team has still got the ball to score points on. If you're Houston, that may be one of the only teams in the country because they've done it twice. They did it to KU.
Oh, man, it's you're having flashbacks. I'm watching that game and I'm just like thinking, man, this looks like a carbon copy of what happened when Kansas played Houston. And that the fact that like they just know, how to get a team to turn the ball over on inbound plays and get them all out of their routine and comfort zone and all of that is just a testament again to Kelvin Sampson and what he's done at Houston. And you know what? The crazy thing about it is, bottom line, I mean, let's be honest, like Duke is a more talented team than Houston is. They're probably even a more athletic team than Houston is. But man, you're never going to out-tough Houston.
The best part of that game, I think, is there's the for the real sickos out there. There's the community about the foul up three. Whenever you're up three, you're supposed to foul. Yeah. You can only make 2 free throws. Not only did Houston not foul up three, they didn't or down three. Excuse me. They didn't foul when they're up three. They didn't foul when they were down 6. Yeah. They let it play out. With a minute left, it was down by 6 points. He said, "Go get a stop." And like, you know how good defensively you have to be against Duke to be like, "We're fine. We don't need to foul. We're gonna get a stop. It's fine." And they did it. Like it's unbelievable what Kelvin Sampson did late in that game. I mean, if you want to talk about top coaches in the country, like he's shown you throughout the entire tournament that he can out-scheme probably anybody.
Man, I want to see him win a national championship so bad. And I believe, Jacob and I have talked about this too in recent weeks, that outside of Rick Pitino, there is not another coach that has absolutely turned around his reputation than Kelvin Sampson. Like he was the pariah of college basketball for a while. All of the NCAA violations, got himself ran out of Indiana, like all of the different, he was an assistant coach for the Houston Rockets. Like he was, you couldn't get any lower than where Kelvin Sampson was after the heights that he had achieved. And now all of a sudden he's going to be playing for a national championship. I want to see that guy walk away with a natty.
It's unbelievable what they did in the American Conference is the thing too. Yeah. Like he's talked about that this week as well about we couldn't pay people to come to our games. Like there's a video of him on his like first year on the job that he would go into like the student center in the cafeteria and say, "We play at 7 p.m. Will you please come to the game? Yeah. Like, will you please come to the game?" And then to just do what they did and get that stuff to buy into it. Like it's incredible that they were able to do that with the school. And it just shows you that that's the most frustrating part is that Wichita State came into the American as a top dog from the Valley and what's achievable. And it's just so frustrating that they were right there from getting it to not maybe not this point, but being that nationally relevant through all of this still.
It's wild. Houston playing for a national championship tonight against Florida. We will preview that game, give you our favorite bets of the national championship. As we kick off hour number 2 here on Sports Daily, of course, you can call the KFH hotline at 869-1240. Max Power is producing and manning that line. TJ Cleveland, I'm Tommy Castor. Hour number 2 of Sports Daily, just around the corner.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, "I don't get it. It's just tea." But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Has this always been in here for the like remixes?
Sports Radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Allrock and Tommy Kester.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2 of Sports Daily on this Monday morning. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleland in for Jacob Albrock. Max Power is our producer. Today, the KFH hotline is open at 869-1240. A lot to get to in hour number 2 today. We'll talk the Royals, who took 2 of 3 from Baltimore at Kauffman Stadium over the weekend, and get ready to welcome in the Minnesota Twins starting tonight in Kansas City. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program. Max mentioned this during the break, and I'd completely forgotten that this happened and broke overnight, that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in agreement with a new contract with the Toronto Blue Jays, a $500 million contract, 14 years for Vlad Jr. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program as well. But we're talking college basketball, TJ. National championship game tonight, Houston and Florida. We talked a little bit about Houston in our last segment. But Florida, I mean, with Walter Clayton Jr., they looked outstanding. They were able to pull away from Auburn at the end of the game in the Final Four on Saturday. And, you know, Houston's going to have a tough task in trying to slow down Clayton, trying to slow down Elijah Martin. It's going to be a tough task for Houston. Florida looks like they can shoot the lights out of the ball. Florida is the epitome of the SEC scoring model of everything that they do. And Shocker saw it firsthand. I remember on the day after Thanksgiving, would they win by 48 points or something unbelievable? They're a pretty insane scoring clip, and they're really good at defense this year as well. That was something that they talked about. The defense wasn't up to par. They had a good team last year, but this team is just on another level. And you think about how good that SEC was and they always felt like they were due to beat Auburn when they got to that point. So I don't know. I'm picking Houston just because I'm probably a Big 12 homer, honestly. But it's going to be an awesome matchup to see because, you know, you get Todd Golden's an awesome coach as well, but Kelvin Sampson's probably going to win the coaching matchup, but Florida's going to have more talent on the court. So going to see what that comes down to. If you're Houston and you're going into this game, I mean, are you intimidated at all by Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin? I mean, you just shut down Cooper Flagg and Tyrese Proctor and Con Knipple and, you know, the guys that Duke has. I mean, it's the Ken Palm #1 offense, and Houston was able to beat them. Well, I think Houston is the Ken Palm #1 defense as well. So, I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Cooper Flagg's probably the one player that can just take over a game by himself. But Walter Clayton's in the top 5 at least, thinking about the crazy shots that he's thrown up during this tournament. So it may just come down to the fact of if Florida makes enough 3-pointers, it's not going to matter. Like that's the only way that I can see them winning this game, honestly, is if they make a high clip of threes, if Walter Clayton gets hot and knocks down a bunch of 3-pointers, because at the end of the day, if you're scoring at that level from outside as well, that's a tough team to beat. I mean, looking at the spread right now, I mean, it's pretty much a coin flip. It's pretty much a toss-up. Right now, at least it looks like Florida is 1-point favorites in the game. I don't know if that's shifted at all from the last time I looked at it, but at least as of now, from what I'm seeing, it's 1-point favorites. So, I mean, you could go either way, right? And you're not going to get great odds just on that. I guess if you were to parlay that together with the over/under, which is set at 141 right now, you'll probably get better odds. I mean, at 141, I mean, you're probably looking at the under, like thinking that Houston can at least limit what Florida wants to do. Let me tell you, first of all, I got an anecdote here. For that game on Friday night, Gabby, my fiance, and I both put some parlays down on the game. She wanted to put a parlay in. We had 3-player props, Houston money line, and the over, which hit by a half a point. So the final free throw from them, we sat there and we're like, we lost. It's fine. We lost. And then she's like, she's going to hold this till the day that she dies. And she said, I don't know. There's a lot of game left. Just a classic, like, it's not over yet. And then sure enough, the one time she was actually right. So I had a nice day on that. But I don't know what the best bets are on this one. I think that you obviously look at the Walter Clayton points. You look at the LJ Cryer points, because whoever's going to win this game, they're going to have those guys go. So, and LJ Cryer was only set at about 17-point line against Duke. So whatever he is this game, I haven't even looked. But, they put these Houston guys low because they don't score at an SEC clip. So one of them's going to have to go. One thing, if you're trying to find something to look at that's a negative with Florida, in this tournament, they turned the ball over way too much. They've got 69 turnovers in the 5 tournament games they've played in. And so that's something that Houston can absolutely feast on. If you're Todd Golden, you're preaching, take care of the basketball, because not only can Houston make you pay on the defensive side, but they could absolutely turn that into points.
That's the other really interesting part of the pace of play going head to head, because Florida likes to score in under 10 seconds and put up as many points. It's a possession game for them. They like to have this amount of possessions in the game and to try to score enough points to win. And Houston, it'll be really interesting because, I mean, like you said, Houston's a team that I think that they're going to try to slow them way down and probably hold the ball and scheme something up. And then Florida's going to try to go. So if you turn the ball over, how costly that's going to be. Not only is it a turnover that could lead to points, it's a turnover that could lead to 30 seconds off the shot clock and then 2 points as well. So it's going to be interesting who adjusts, because if it turns into a shootout, I think Houston can win in a shootout. Florida can also win in a grinded out game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember who I saw this from. I saw it on social media over the weekend, and I didn't verify it, so I have no idea if this is accurate. But something to the effect of, even with a Houston loss tonight, the Big 12 will have a better winning percentage in the tournament than the SEC will have, even if Florida wins and wins a national championship. And of course, all the talk has been how great and deep the SEC is, how amazing they are. But I do think that there's a part of the Big 12 that's been really overlooked.
I agree. I think that's just kind of the Big 12's doing of itself. Of you see KU go lose at UCF. Like nobody talked about the Big 12 as much this year because of how good of a league it was that they kept beating up on each other. Houston won the league. I don't even know who's in second in the Big 12. I'm trying to think about who's in that race.
Iowa State.
Yeah, probably. I think so. So you think about just that league and how good it is. And just so cool how Kelvin Sampson ended that game talking about the Big 12, and he might have called the American a toy poodle league. I don't know. I don't know if he was. What
does that mean?
I don't know if he was talking about. Me and Jacob have been trying to decipher this. He said we're not 34-4 in a toy poodle league. So I don't know if he was calling the American, their former conference, a toy poodle league, or if he was calling the ACC a toy poodle league that Duke played in. But some league out there is a toy poodle league, and it's not the Big 12. We know that.
Some fans. I'm looking at this now. Some fans believe that he was throwing a dig at Duke and the ACC. Yeah. That he was actually calling the ACC a toy poodle league. Yeah. I've never heard that reference before. A toy poodle league. Like, what does that even mean?
I don't know. I really have no idea. Like, either way it is, it's kind of hilarious. It's really good if it's a dig at Duke and how much they were talked about for playing in the ACC this year. But if it's the American, it's just like, wow, that was a kind of a stray, but it's right, So I don't know.
Whether he was talking about the ACC or the American, I just don't even know what it means. I don't even know what toy poodle league even.
They're cute.
Even well, I guess that's true. That's funny. A toy poodle league. I'm gonna have to wrap my head around that. I think that, to your point though, as we put a bow on this conversation with the national championship game, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to coaching, right? Because I mean, you can have all the best players in the world, but if you look at the list, and I did this a few days ago on this show, you go through the list of national championship winning coaches over the last 20, 25 years. I mean, you're talking about Coach K and Roy Williams and Bill Self, Dan Hurley, Billy Donovan, Jay Wright, Calipari. Like, those are the coaches that are winning, even Rick Pitino. Those are the coaches that are winning national championships. Not a knock on Todd Golden. I think he's a fine coach. I think that he'll be really good. For a long time, he's brought Florida back to relevance for sure. But if you're looking at just flat out coaching ability, it's got to be Kelvin Sampson.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's the same argument as well with that of the Super Bowl winning quarterback has to be a Hall of Famer. I think that winning the Super Bowl helps you get in the Hall of Fame. I think that winning a national championship also helps you get in that conversation as a head coach. But, you talk about what Kelvin Sampson does and just listening to him talk about the X's and O's and everything. It's hard to not root for the guy, even though he's maybe the biggest smart aleck in the world. And he even gave me a couple of digs when he was in Wichita. But yeah, absolutely pulling for those guys. And I think that the biggest thing that I want to say about this is that the country should be rooting for Houston because they are going to show everybody that you can stay and win a national championship, and you can put money into your team and win a national championship, and you don't have to do this out of the transfer portal. It's going to be so weird to see KU with an all-transfer team. Like, that's not who KU should be. Like, Houston is what KU was with Frank Mason and those guys, and getting guys to stay 4 or 5 years. So if they can win a national championship, that'll be so huge, because even Jerome Tang talked about it. I want to do what Houston does. And so if they can win it and they can show everybody, even in one of the craziest seasons in all of college basketball, we had our guys. We didn't do very much in the portal. We got LJ Cryer, who's from Houston. And
even that hired gun in LJ Cryer, this is what his second year with the program. It's not like he was a one and done type guy coming in and playing for the Cougars. He's been there for a minute.
It's not you go out and you buy a Hunter Dickinson and win a national championship. You have to do the work, and I think that's what they've shown everybody. And so if they win national championship, I think it'd be huge for the sport just to show like you can't cheat the system. Like you have to do it.
We'll have recap and reactions to the national championship game tomorrow morning. Here on the program, it's going to be Houston and Florida. I mean, we're Big 12 folks. We're in Big 12 country. I'm absolutely rooting for Houston and Kelvin Sampson to get it done. And like I mentioned, we'll have all of the reactions tomorrow morning right here on the show. I want to tell you about a cool event coming up here actually this Sunday, April 13th. Open Streets ICT, the free community event will transform nearly 2 miles of 17th Street from Oliver to Volusia into a lively hub for walking, biking, running, and skating. The event promotes healthy living and community engagement. Open Streets ICT this weekend, Sunday from noon to 4 at Wichita State. Let's talk some Royals baseball. We'll do that on the other side. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleveland, Max Power producing at Sports Daily. We're coming right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
we investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Our thanks to Crestview Country Club, proud supporters of Sports Daily. We are getting into golfing weather. Kind of a chilly start today, but the rest of this week looks to be really, really nice. The cool thing about Crestview is they've got 2 courses that you can play, and so you can usually get on at least one of those courses. And I know you've got a really busy week leading up to the wedding, but man, it's a great week. If you can get out and play some golf, I would highly recommend it.
Made my Sand Creek Station debut last week. Never played it before. Shot a 55 on the front, but then we shot a 47 on the back. We figured some stuff out. Had to exercise some demons there. But
you say we? Like, did you have a caddy with you?
No. Just me and the voices in my head. Just the voices in my head. Yeah, that course is unbelievable because I would hit a good drive and I'm like, I am still 250 yards away on a par 4. Like, I have no club to I can't do this.
It's a long course, especially. I don't know what day you played. Yeah. Was it windy when you played? Yes. Was the wind coming out of the south?
I think so.
So when you're playing number 10,
the 600-yard one,
600-yard par 5 into a south wind. Yeah, it's I think one time I went like driver 3-wood, and I was still like 100 yards away.
Yeah, I got to a point where I was like, all right, I can't hit a long iron to save my life. My 3-wood sucks. So it's basically just driver, 9-iron. Okay, now we're on the green. Like, I'm just going to take these. I'm just going to hit it straight.
We're getting into that time of year for sure, and I was looking at the forecast this week. It's going to be pretty nice. So if you can get out to Crestview and check out one of their 2 courses, give them a call. They can give you a tour. You can probably go out there and play some golf too to check out what a membership would be like out at Crestview. Definitely recommend you doing that because they're proud supporters of the show, and we love having them be a part of Sports Daily. Let's talk baseball. It was a chilly weekend at Kauffman Stadium as the Royals welcomed in Baltimore. In the 3-game set over the weekend, the Royals were able to take 2 of 3 from the Orioles. Really saw, at least on Friday's game, saw the offense come to life. Saturday, not as much, but then yesterday, it really came down to jumping out to a lead early as the Royals are now 4-5 through their first 9 games. And they took 2 of 3 from a team that I think most people think will be a playoff team.
Yeah, that's a big series to win, honestly. And you just don't want to lose 3 series in a row. That's what I tell everybody is that, whenever it's April, like, nothing means anything, and you have no idea what means anything. But you think about last year, like, the Royals snuck in by a couple of games. So it's like these games matter, especially when you have a team that's going to be relevant, which is awesome to care about these games whenever they're going to be down the stretch. So it's a big series to win against a really good team. And I think the bigger part of that is that it's a series win heading into a really big week because they're going to play 7 games in a row against division opponents. So yeah,
it's huge. I mean, especially in a Central AL Central division that through the first 2 weeks of the season, nobody's been good. Nobody's been good, and nobody has risen above everybody else. I mean, you've got a big logjam in the AL Central. I know entering the series on Friday, you had all 5 teams with the exact same record in that division.
Yep. So it's going to be a crazy week once these things start playing out. And so, like I said, in April, everything's going to change by the time you get to September. But if you can get through and win 5 of these 7 games, I mean, that'd be you'll get into first place basically automatically if you win 5 games this week.
Yeah, the Tigers were able to have a really good weekend, and they won 3 in a row. And so they're 5-4. Royals are a game behind them at 4-5. And then the Twins, who they welcome in to Kauffman Stadium starting tonight, are a game behind the Royals at 3-6, tied with the Guardians. Let's talk a little bit about the game, at least yesterday. I think it's fair to say, at least in my opinion, that right now the best pitcher in that rotation is Chris Bubich.
It's crazy.
I mean, and I don't think anybody going into this season would have thought that necessarily. Yeah. But he's pitched twice, and he's pitched great both times.
Yeah, he was awesome. Just to think about what he can provide you to be with your Reagans, Lugo, Waka. And after that, it was kind of like, what are we going to have to finish off? Like, we may have some tough series because we don't have a 4th and a 5th guy, or like Lorenzen and Bubich. You don't know what you're going to get. And Bubich, even throughout his career before the Tommy John, it was just, what are we going to get? He could be great. He's got great stuff, but sometimes he just got shelled. So to have that start for him, he's got the stuff. Like if you're into the pitching, the movement and the grips and everything, like Bubich is one of the most fun to watch because his changeup is disgusting. So if he can turn that on and be he's got the potential to be near the top of the rotation guy if he can stay at a level that he's shown us over these last 2 games. But just to have something a guy that can do that in the back end of your rotation is huge.
It is huge, especially considering that they put reinforcements in the bullpen because, I mean, he was effective when he came back last season in that bullpen. And I know that, and what I really like at least is the transparency from David Piccolo. I remember as soon as the season ended last year, Piccolo talked about how Bubich, they want to get him back in the rotation.
Yep.
And at the time, I know he was transparent, but at the time I'm like, man, are you sure that's a good idea? Because he was so effective, especially in high leverage situations in that bullpen. And not only do they move him to the rotation and he's effective there, but then they also go and they bring in reinforcements and they try to strengthen the bullpen to try to compensate for the fact that they're going to have Bubich now back in the rotation.
Yeah, so it is interesting. Like I keep asking what the bane of this team is going to be because every team always has a bane. And usually it's a middle bullpen or a late bullpen or a into the rotation or the end of the batting lineup. For the Royals, I don't really know. Like right now, I'd say it's probably the end of the lineup. Like I don't know what it is, and so that's a good problem to have that you don't know what the team's flaw is going to be. So you can just win as many games as you can until you figure it out, basically. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a pitching problem, which is a breath of fresh air after watching a decade of Royals baseball that's been pitching problems.
If it is a pitching problem, it's probably the front end of the bullpen. They've got to get that figured out. Zerpa has not been good. Sam Long has not been good. Chris Stratton has been a little bit better, I guess, but they don't have that part of it figured out. So the question then becomes, how long can you trust your starters?
Do you have a guy that can get you to the 6th inning?
Right. Or even to the 7th, right? Like,
Seventh is huge.
Bubich was able to go 6 2/3 yesterday. That was, I think, and don't quote me on this, I think that's the longest that a starter has gone this season for the Royals. 6 2/3. You feel really confident with the guys on the back end of the bullpen. But I just, I think that's the only concern. Do you trust your starter to go a little bit longer into a game? Or is there somebody else that you can give the ball to? Maybe it's Daniel Lynch.
Yeah.
He's probably been the most consistent guy on the front end of that bullpen.
Yeah, I'd say honestly that's probably what a lot of teams are going to say as well. That's just kind of the name of the game of if you get to the bullpen before the 6th inning, then your hitters are going to have probably a better chance to get more guys. Everybody wants to get the starter off the mound because the starter is probably one of the best pitchers that they're going to have. So that's kind of the recipe for winning playoff baseball, at least, is get the starter out and scratch as much off before they bring in the flamethrower in the 8th inning, basically. So the Royals need to get that shored up, I'm sure. But like I said, that's just kind of an every team problem. So I don't think that's anything to be hugely worried about because I like Daniel Lynch in that role. And just to know that they have a guy that can do that. If your starter's leaving in the 4th inning, you're probably not going to win that game.
Sure. Yeah. So. Our buddy Cody Tapp up at 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City, he posted this a little while ago, which I think is really, really interesting. When you combine what Daniel Lynch has done and you combine that with what Carlos Estevez has done, Lucas Ursig has done, and Hunter Harvey has done, all in the back end of the bullpen. Those 4 guys combined have pitched 18 2/3 innings, 18 strikeouts, and a 0 ERA.
Be a pretty good starter.
That's a fantastic starter, but you've got all 4 of those guys in the bullpen.
Yeah.
And, being able to sort of utilize them in different ways. I love how Matt Quatrero has deployed Lucas Ursig to be a versatility guy, a high leverage guy where it doesn't really matter the inning. It's more of a situational type thing. It's like, hey, Ursig, go in there and just shut these guys down. Get us out of a jam. Get us out of an inning. And that's what Ursig has done throughout the course of this season. And then you've kind of got Harvey and Estevez more in solidified roles. That it's been a really phenomenal back end of that bullpen.
Yeah, I'm just there's really just not much ill things to say about the Kansas City Royals right now, which is just awesome to feel this as a Royals fan for one after the 10 years that we had.
I mean, they are 4-5.
Yeah, well,
so let's pause a little bit. Like
we're not. Yeah, but there's no. That's just baseball. I feel like there's no clear reason they're losing these games. I feel like the only things that you can really kind of complain about is like an MJ Melendez and a Hunter Renfroe start to the season of what they have. But I think with the versatility that this team has, I love seeing Michael Garcia get into the outfield. I think that he should get more of that. Maybe take MJ out of the lineup, put Michael Garcia out there with Kyle Isbell, and then Hunter Renfroe in right field. You could platoon some people around there.
Can we end the Hunter Renfroe experiment? Yeah. I just don't think it's working. And I know he was 1 for 3 yesterday, but he hit into an inning-ending double play. And I know they like his veteran presence. They like, I think, what he does out in right field. But he's not hitting the way that you would expect Hunter Renfroe to hit. And he didn't do that a season ago either.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this, thinking about what they can do with Michael Garcia moving to the outfield, Jonathan India able to play in some outfield. I don't know what they have coming up in the minor leagues of like a third baseman or anything like that if they wanted to platoon those guys out there. So maybe we can just figure out how Jack Caglione can play right field. We'll be pretty set. It'd be really nice.
We were talking about it off the air. I don't know if anybody out there watched the video of Caglione hitting that home run in Tulsa over the weekend. It left the building. Like he hit it out of the stadium.
Feet. Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Like to straightaway right field, and it went out. I think it hit like the street outside of the stadium there in Tulsa.
He's one of the guys where every baseball fan watches guys in spring training or in the minor leagues, and it's like why aren't we calling him up? It's like, well, let's not rush this. Like, let's make sure that we let him develop. He's the kind of guy where it's like where you watch him, it's like, that dude could be an MLB player. Like 100% he could be an MLB player. So I think it's a matter of time, but I think we'll see him this year for sure.
One thing I want to talk about, you mentioned kind of the flaws of this team, and I think it definitely is that 5 to 7 position in the lineup for sure. Mm-hmm. Michael Garcia has been probably the most consistent bat in the lineup, maybe outside of Jonathan India. It's probably those 2 guys that have been super consistent from day one.
Yeah.
Michael Garcia is still batting 8th in the lineup. Why don't you move him up to 6th or 5th?
I agree.
I don't know why Quatrero just doesn't do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's been great. I love Michael Garcia's game. I think he was great last year, and I expected him to kind of be great this year. I was kind of shocked about talks of, getting a new third baseman to replace him. I thought that he'd be a great fit in the lineup. But I agree. I mean, he's hitting the ball really well. Yesterday he got another hit. Been betting a lot of money on Michael Garcia to get a hit, so I'm all for it, moving him up in the lineup. He can get some more hits. So I agree. Lineup management, this is a conversation we had at work last night. The lineup management is probably the most different it's ever been in the game of baseball because it's not the typical of put your fast guy first, put another fast guy second, put your best hitter third, put the guy that hits the RBI fourth. Like, I don't know. Like, with the way that the game is, I feel like you can put guys in any position, but you want the best hitters to get more at-bats. It is the simple math to it.
Yeah, I mean, that just makes sense to me. And I don't know if some of it is, hey, we'd like to get a guy like Garcia on base to be able to then turn the lineup over with India and Witt and all of that. And by the way, Bobby Witt Jr. had a phenomenal game yesterday, too. Was a homer short of the cycle, went triple, double, single, and then very narrowly missed out on getting that cycle. It's good to see his bat come alive when you're comparing, and all 3 of these guys have had their moments this season, but Witt hasn't been overly consistent, but then you compare that to Pasquantino and Perez. Those 2 guys for sure have not been consistent. Perez had a good game yesterday, but the three of them for sure, they've got to get things, at least a little bit more consistent with their bats.
Yeah, that was one thing that I brought up as well, is that they're 4-5, but they've been able to be 4-5 with Bobby Witt Jr. having a pretty bad first week, honestly. So for him to had his first home run on Saturday, be a cycle home run shy of the cycle on Sunday, I think that they can get their bats going. I think that their bats are going to be what drives this team. They're going to be a pretty offensive-minded team, I think. They're not going to small ball you and try to grind out games. So to see those guys starting to pick it up, especially in a big week, I think it could be really big for them.
Looks like tonight Lorenzen will be on the bump for the Royals. And it looks like the projected starter for the Twins is Simeon Woods Richardson. Of course, if you're a Wind Surge guy, you're familiar with Woods Richardson, who's now with the big league squad. And it's an important set for the Royals. It's their, outside of after opening day, this is their first division matchup. That opening series against the Guardians. Now they've got the Twins, and the Twins are a team that I think a lot of folks are projecting to at least be competitive in this division. If you can get out ahead, if you can at least take 2 of 3 in this series from the Twins, you got to feel pretty good going into this weekend.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, just the way that the Major League schedule works out, of how many times they're going to play the American League Central team. Like, it's an unbelievable amount of games that you play against your Central Division people. But yeah, I agree. It's going to be a huge year because, like you said, it's top to bottom. It's a logjam of. Even the White Sox aren't that bad right now. Like, they're probably will be eventually, but right now, it's pretty top to bottom. So these games are huge, and it's going to be a really big series, a 4-game series as well. Against the Twins.
Yeah, you're right. 4-game series.
So it's going to be a big week.
Projected starters, as I mentioned, Woods Richardson and Lorenzen tonight. Tomorrow night, this is going to be a big time matchup. Pablo Lopez and Cole Reagans against each other. And you know what? Honestly, Reagans so far has, he's pitched twice, no decisions both times. I think his second start that we saw with him middle of the week last week was better than the opening day start against the Guardians. But you would love to see him be able to get a win. And get that ERA down a little bit. It's at 3.60, which is slightly high for Cole Reagans. I think you would expect to see him, in the low 3s, maybe even high 2s. And so they can, he can get that going on Tuesday. Joe Ryan and Seth Lugo match up in Wednesday's game, and then getaway day, the day game, Waka and Bailey Ober for the Twins in the finale of that series. I think one other thing with the Royals too is that you've got this opportunity, this long homestand, to kind of get your feet underneath you before you then go on the road again.
Yeah, I'm curious about this. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How committed are you to watching Royals baseball? How often do you watch a game?
I try to watch as many as I can. I'm a Braves fan too, so I try to watch Braves games. I was fortunate yesterday because they were both scheduled at the same time. The Braves game got rained out, so I was like, I'll just watch the Royals.
There you go.
I don't know. I'll probably try to watch 3 of the 4 games this week.
I made a commitment to myself because ever since I've moved to Wichita, my parents are one of the most committed baseball watching families ever. Like, my dad's a Cardinals fan and my mom's a Royals fan, and they both love the Royals as well. So they live in the one market where you get both the Royals and the Cardinals on cable.
All right.
They probably watch 300 baseball games a year. Like, it's that's their plan. So, like, we got to eat dinner, the game's on at 6 tonight. Like, wow. I watched an unbelievable amount of baseball growing up. So whenever I moved to Wichita, I stopped watching as much. But now I was like, the Royals are good. Like, I'm not going to take this for granted. Like, I've watched every game except one so far. So I make a point to myself, like, I have to turn on the game and watch the game today.
By the way, you mentioned earlier Chris Bubich's changeup. Is your changeup as good as Chris Bubich?
I played first base because I couldn't throw the ball. Okay. I was there to catch the ball and swing a bat.
So that was a pretty nasty changeup. And I didn't know. I knew that he could throw one. I had no idea until I saw it yesterday how effective that changeup was.
He was a pretty big pitching prospect for the Royals coming up the ranks. And so he came up during a kind of a irrelevant time of Royals baseball, basically, and showed his glimpses of that. And then he was also really young, and he got shelled a lot as well. So I agree. I think he can turn into a really great prospect.
Yeah, he's been, the best pitcher, at least so far, in the rotation for the Royals, and probably the guy who has, I don't want to say he struggled the most, because I think Waka has struggled pretty significantly through the first couple of starts, but Lorenzen has not been phenomenal, at least so far, and he gets the start tonight for the Royals in Kansas City. Again, it's the start of a 4-game set against the Minnesota Twins. You'll be able to hear every single game right here on KFH. By the way, pretty cool that the game yesterday was on KWCH.
It is. We got 10 Royals games over our airways. That one was on KWCH. And then we got 9 more on the KSCW. Next one is in 3 weeks. But it's awesome to see baseball over the air in a time period where it's hard to watch baseball games. Yeah. It's nice to just turn your TV on and be able to watch.
Nothing like being able to flip on the TV and the smooth sounds of Rex Hubler coming through my TV speakers. But you'll be able to catch all the games with Jake Eisenberg, Denny Matthews, the entire great Royals radio crew right here on KFH. And again, the game tonight, I think first pitch is at 6:40, I believe, from Kauffman. Yeah, 6:40 from Kauffman Stadium. And we'll be able to carry all of that. You'll be able to listen to that game and all of the games for the Royals right here on KFH. We'll continue on with baseball. Vladimir Guerrero signs a huge contract with the Blue Jays. We'll get into that and to give you a recap of some of the other headlines. On the other side, Tommy Castor, TJ Cleveland, Max Power producing. It's Sports Daily. We're coming right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now. 8310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Daily on KFH. Tommy Castor, TJ Cleveland, in for Jacob Albrock, Max Power producing the program on this Monday. We've had a busy show talking national championship game, Houston and Florida tonight, talking Florida Badunga, returning to Kansas, talking about the Royals. Another big piece of news that broke overnight in Major League Baseball, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays agreed to a 14-year, $500 million contract. It's another huge contract in the world of Major League Baseball where there is no salary cap. I think the biggest thing, TJ, in all of this is not a Dodgers Shohei Ohtani deal. This is a no deferral deal. He's making this $500 million over the next 14 years. The Blue Jays are not kicking the can down the road.
I'm glad he's getting the $500 million. I'm sure his growing up, he had a tough time with his dad as a major leaguer. So these deals are unbelievable. It's unreal that there's no salary cap rules or anything, that these teams can do whatever they want. But I am glad that it's not the Dodgers. Toronto's not one of the major market teams of Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, all those guys. So I'm glad to see somebody like that shell up some money and pay somebody. But still, $500 million for 14 years. I mean, it's inconceivable. And those kind of deals are what is going to kill the Royals, even though they're, what are they paying Bobby? I don't even know what his deal ended up being.
Less than that.
Yeah, not
significantly
that.
Less than that, I think. It's the third largest deal in Major League Baseball history.
It's crazy.
Juan Soto's 15-year, $765 million deal with the Mets, and then, of course, Shohei's 10-year, $700 million deal with the Dodgers. The crazy thing about it, too, the Blue Jays were in on both Soto and Ohtani. Didn't get either one of them, obviously. And they ponied up to keep their guy in Toronto. And, it does. And I think that this is really important as we're looking at it in the context of the Bobby Witt Jr. Royals deal, is just the kind of discount that Witt Jr. gave the Royals. I think we're going to look back on that contract for the Royals, and it's going to be the best thing that the Royals ever did. Because, Bobby Witt Jr. could have gotten more money elsewhere. Like, let's be real about that. Like, and it could have been this year, it could have been 5 years, 10 years. He could have gotten more money elsewhere, but he wants to stay with the Royals.
Yeah. These deals, I wanted to bring this up. It's crazy. Vladdy's never won an MVP, unless I'm mistaken. I don't think he's ever won an MVP.
He finished second in 2021 to Ohtani.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is that these deals, like, you think about his deal and even the Juan Soto deal being the largest that's ever been. It just feels like they're not who you'd expect to be getting the biggest deals in MLB history. Obviously the money is outrageous, but for somebody to get this amount of money, I don't know. It's the same thing as college basketball as well. But just the price of everything is going up for these players and everything like that. But just to see a guy that's never won an MVP get the third most money in MLB history, these deals are getting unbelievable. And there needs to be some, the NBA, for as much as that they do that turns viewers away, their offseason makes the most sense of everybody's offseason. I feel like the NFL does it really well as well. It's just so hard to follow because there's 100 players on every team. But the NBA makes it so easy to follow how much money you have left. How can you do this? MLB, the offseason is 8 months. You can sign somebody whenever. There's no free agency. And then the deals are just unbelievable how big, and you can pay somebody for 20 years if you wanted to. It's unbelievable the rules they have in place.
It almost feels like monopoly money a little bit. Like it doesn't even.
Do you think that they have $500 million just sitting around? Like
no, I mean no. I don't know how this is working. How will that affect the luxury tax? That's a good question. I mean, like that's the one thing because as you mentioned, TJ, like it's so easy to follow in other sports, and I feel like I follow this stuff pretty closely. I still don't even really understand the way it all works in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it is like people always ask. It's like, what do you think the Royals are going to do this offseason? What do you think about the moves? It's like, I don't know who's a free agent. Like I don't know how much money they have to spend. Like it's unreal that I keep saying everything's unreal, but it's unreal that an owner can just be like, hey, here's a couple million, go get somebody. It's like,
yeah,
you can't do that. Like there's supposed to be money that's supposed to be for that. How come you're putting more money in? And like, how come the Mets are getting favored because they have a rich owner, like compared to everybody owner's rich, a very rich owner to be able to go do this kind of stuff. So the NBA, like you can only get the Supermax if you're a returning player and eligible for it. You can only get a 4-year deal. You can only get this amount of money, which grows every year, but it's a certain amount of money that you can get. And then each team gets a certain amount of salary cap. And you do that, and it helps smaller markets like Milwaukee Bucks survive. And that's something that would be like a Kansas City Royals type of thing. But they found a way to be able to you have to kind of strike lightning if you're a small market team and you can't go do this kind of stuff. So more power to Vladdy because he's rich. He's very rich.
He's very rich. And a player that, after that, runner-up MVP finish in 2021, he did not have a good 2022 or 2023. And he was able to rebound and still walk away with a $500 million contract over 14 years, which is wild. He's 26. That contract runs until he's 40. And to your point about how complicated free agency is, there are arbitration years, and then you've got, players with their service time and when do they become free agents, and is the money deferred like Shohei Ohtani for 50 years down the line? Like it just there's no structure with it, and that's what makes it so complicated and so hard to keep up with.
Yeah, it does. But a huge deal. You just think about Bobby Witt Jr. and who this next wave of people is going to be. Who's going to be the guy that gets the $1 billion contract? Because I think we're going to see it by 2030. I think we'll see $1 billion contract.
So Bobby Witt Jr.'s contract, I looked it up, 11-year, $288 million contract.
That's a steal.
Huge. I mean, because you're talking about a future MVP. You're talking about a guy that can be the cornerstone of your organization for over a decade. And you know what? I don't even know what does that even divide out into? I'm not very good at math. 288 divided by 11. It's $26 million a year.
Yeah.
A little over $26 million a year. Meanwhile, you take Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 500 over 14 years, is almost $36 million a year, like $10 million more. Who would you rather have, Bobby Witt Jr. or Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
I'd rather have Bobby Witt Jr. 10 days of the week.
Right. I mean, and so that's why, I think, could Bobby Witt Jr. have gone out there and gotten a $36 million a year contract? I think absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's just the thing. That's just the thing that you have to learn how to do if you're the Kansas City Royals. If Caglione turns out to be an awesome young guy, you got to give it to him in his first or second year. Like you can't wait till he's almost in free agency because somebody's going to pay him. So, going to be really interesting to see how all of that plays out.
I'm interested to see. I'm going to do a little bit of math here too with Juan Soto, 765, and his was what, a 15-year deal?
I think so.
That's $51 million a year. Would you rather have Juan Soto at $51 million a year or Bobby Witt Jr. at 26?
I'd probably still take Bobby Witt Jr.
I mean, even just from a value perspective, basically, I mean, that's half.
Oh yeah.
Like Bobby Witt Jr. is making half a year, half as much per year as what Juan Soto is making with the Mets. And Juan Soto is fantastic. Like he's great. But man, what Bobby Witt Jr. is able to do at $26 million a year, like again, you said lightning in a bottle. That's exactly what the Royals got. How many outfielders made it to 40 playing?
That's the thing. That's the thing about all these.
I know they have
we've never seen these deals until this decade. We started to see the deals get into the double-digit years. I'm sure there has been those, but I'm trying to think. Somebody got a 15, 16-year deal, stuff like that, and it's like these guys are going to be old. Like this is an unbelievable deal to give someone. Like if they don't pan out, like I think that we're going to get away from these because I think that like it's going to take, Vladdy gets an injury and he's never the same, or Juan Soto's never the same and ends up not playing for the Met. Like these are like franchise altering deals that if they aren't good, like you're going to be in a bad spot.
Well, and even go back 25 years ago and look at Alex Rodriguez. He signed this massive deal with the Rangers, and he was 25. It was after his year 25. And the Rangers got out of that contract after a couple of years. And it wasn't like A-Rod just didn't produce for them, but it was like, hey, we signed you to a lot of money, and we're going to trade this contract because we'd rather have the flexibility to go sign other players elsewhere.
It's crazy that the GMs are willing to take on that liability of just the fact that you could just be paying somebody $500 million for them to just not be good. And that's the risk you take with every free agent. But to take a risk that's going to cost you that much money for 14 straight years is pretty crazy.
Alex Rodriguez was even an MVP with the Rangers when he was with them. And after 3 years, they were like, you're great. You were an MVP for us. We signed you to, a $250 million contract, which was huge at the time. Well, we're going to go ahead and try to trade that contract. We're going to try to get out from underneath of it because it's a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy the state of the MLB that like 10% of the teams are chasing these kind of deals. And then like you think about the Twins, I just talked to Brian Dinkelman, the new Windsurge manager, about the amount of like top prospects that have come through the Twins farm system. Because you think about the guys that were traded to the Reds in the deal for. I don't even remember who that was for now, but like Spencer Steer and those guys that went, Encarnacion Strand, like they've had so many good prospects. And I was like, well, how cool of a time is it in the Twins farm system? And he's like, well, the Twins don't spend money. Like they spend their money on this,
on the farm system,
so that they can like produce these kind of top prospects and everything like that. So they're not a team that goes out and like even the Royals, like who was the last big splash signing the Royals got? Like, you could say like Walker and Lugo, but those aren't like, you're not going to get a superstar. Like the Royals have probably never signed a superstar to my knowledge.
Oh man. Like their history has been to let those superstars walk. They've re-signed stars and arguably like signed bad deals, to guys like Hosmer and Moustakas and Gordon, like kind of after their prime, after that big run that kind of led to where we're at today. But that was the MO of the Royals for years and years, was like, let these superstars come up, guys like Carlos Beltran and Johnny Damon and others, and then they end up walking, they end up going away. That's what made the Bobby Witt Jr. deal that much more impressive, was that even though it wasn't like they didn't have to go out and necessarily compete in the open market for Bobby Witt Jr., they still opened up the checkbook for a guy and said, we're committed to you for the long haul. And, there's something to be said for that, especially if you're Bobby Witt Jr. and that decision of, you know what, I think I'm going to go ahead and accept the security and being with this one organization basically my entire career.
Yeah. The one point about just baseball deals and free agency and everything is that you think about what the impact of small market teams that I was talking about. If you apply that to the NFL, the Chiefs would not exist the capacity the Chiefs exist.
Totally.
Like Patrick Mahomes would be a New York Giant. Like Chris Jones would be a New York Jet. Like this guy would be a Los Angeles Ram. Like they would not be able to keep up with these teams, especially with the amount of football money that comes in. Like the Chiefs don't have as much as the Rams or the Giants or the Jets or the Miamis and stuff like that.
Are we heading towards a salary cap in Major League Baseball, do you think?
I think so. I think that, but I also think that people have been saying that for the last probably 2 decades because they can see what happens in the other sports and how much sense it makes. And I think that the fact of just, the MLB, if I was the commissioner of the MLB and these owners are cutting checks to get these players, it's like, well, that's a source of income. I don't know why I would stop that. The thing also is that in the sport of baseball is you can spend. It's the same thing we talked about the NIL earlier. Sport of baseball, the Yankees can spend all this money, and the Yankees missed the playoffs for so many years spending that much money. Like last year, we watched the Yankees versus the Royals in the ALDS, and it was the most expensive payroll in baseball versus like one of the least expensive payrolls in baseball. So baseball is just such a sport with so much parity that you can have a team of minor league players that can go up and get, like, you see the spring training games where they'll play the college teams. The college teams will win sometimes. Like, that's just how weird the sport of baseball is. So it doesn't matter as much. So, like, that's the thing, is that these teams are spending as much money, and the small market teams have, like, the Royals won a World Series this century. Like, it's crazy to think about that that's possible with the amount of money that's going around there.
Well, and, I don't know if really we had seen a team in Major League Baseball that spent a bunch of money really haven't come to fruition to win a championship recently until the Dodgers did it last year. Yep. Like the Dodgers look head and shoulders better than almost every other team in Major League Baseball. Just, they're stacked from top to bottom. But you're seeing teams that maybe don't have as big of a payroll able to win a championship. The Dodgers, though, were able to do it this last year.
You remember the joke whenever it was the Dodgers-Rays World Series, and it was $2 billion versus the power of friendship?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That's what makes Major League Baseball so much fun. Vlad Jr. gets a $500 million contract with the Blue Jays, makes that Bobby Witt Jr. contract with the Royals look even better. Don't go away. More Sports Daily on the other side.